The year was 1873, friends. Quite a wild time for the United States of America. Westward expansion had begun at an extensive rate. Telegraph wires were strung. Pony Express had already been outdone. The Transcontinental Railroad, the first one, in 1869, had been completed at Promontory Peak. This country was on fire with change and adaptation. As the East came forward to settle the West, necessary tools and implements were needed. And in 1872 and 73, two of the greatest implements ever devised by American inventors came to fruition and were directly related to and played a large part in the country we know today. Many events were occurring in 1873. The Reconstruction era from the past Civil War was still 4 years from being over. President Grant was in his second term in the White House. In March of that same year, Remington & Sons began production on their very first practical typewriter. You might recognize the name Remington. In May of that same year, the first U.S. postcard was issued. Sometime along the middle of that year, Coors Beer, yes friends, Coors Beer, began brewing their famous beverage right there in Golden, Colorado. October 30th of 1873, P.T. Barnum debuted his greatest show on earth in New York City. In October 8th of that same year, Ma Barker, the infamous female gang leader of the Barker Kappas gang in the Depression era, was born. And on July 21st, 1873, Jesse James and the Younger gang pulled off their very first successful train robbery at Adair, Iowa, netting $3,000 from the Rock Island Express. Man, whew, there was a lot of exciting stuff going on, wasn't there? But if you look that timeline up on Wikipedia, even if you look it up for 72 and 73, there's one thing you won't see mentioned. Actually, two things that you will not see mentioned. But you see those things before you now. One, in 1872 and 73, were the final patents for Colt'S single-action army revolving pistol, famously known as the Peacemaker, and the other being Winchester's 1873 lever-action repeating rifle, both of which are shown here. I guess Wikipedia's got a kind of an issue with firearms, I don't know. I find plenty of guns on there as it is. But it was an amazing time, an exciting time, a boiling over time, and a time of great change in this nation. And these two firearms played a great part in it. If it hadn't been for these two pieces of genius in mass production of firearms, I doubt very seriously we'd have advanced nearly as fast as we did. So we're going to take a look at these two pieces. Give them a once over, give them a good hard look, kind of get into the nomenclature and the calibration and how they operate and how they work. Then we're going to take these bad puppies out to the farm and we're going to see just how effective these two pieces of equipment really were. These things were issued to soldiers. These things were the quintessential items to any man heading off from the jumping point at St. Louis off into the plains and the hinterland. If he wanted a rifle and a pistol and it was anywhere close to 1873, by God, that's what he wanted. He wanted a Colt. He wanted a Winchester. So let's give them a look. These are a couple of really pretties, and normally they're just safe queens, but I just had to drag them out. I just couldn't stand anymore. I had to drag them out. So stand by. We're going to take a closer look at these bad boys, see what makes them tick, see how they operate. I'll be right back with you. Hang on. All right, folks, let's look at the long and the short of it here. Start with the short one first. What do you say? Now, I did a little video on the pistol here a few months ago after I acquired it. And this is basically the 1872-73 variant of the Colt single action Army M45 Colt. Now, it has a few little tricks and gewgaws on it that the original single action Army didn't have, because this one is actually set up for cowboy or cavalry mounted shooting. So it's got the little 3-inch barrel. It's got heavy ridged hammer, a lot of grip surface there. It has a short stroke hammer instead of having to come all the way back like a normal one-wood cowboy gun. That one only has to go to there. So it uses different springs and a little bit different design on the hammer and its engagement distance. But other than that, it's basically the 1872-1873 Colt's single action Army. Has a side loading gate, 4 clicks. Second one takes you to freewheel so that you can load it, unload it, mess with it, do whatever you need to do. The cylinder is pinned in, has the removable stock pin, spring-loaded catch for that, spring-loaded case ejection rod, regular grips, just set up to be a fast one. And it is fast. So that's what we're dealing with here. Now this one is in 45 Colt, the same as the rifle is. And like I said, other than that, it's basically what you'd get, kind of a hopped up, tuned up race version of the 1872-1873 Colt's single action Army M45. And man, she runs and she points. She's a fine little pistol. She's fun. All right, let's take a look at the long one. All right, folks, welcome back to the magic of video editing. Now we got the long of the pair. Those of you might recognize the aficionados of the lever guns throughout American history. The 1873 Winchester. Now, this is not an actual 1873 Winchester. This is a modern Uberti replication of the 73 Winchester. It works just like it, and it's slick as a button. They make some fine guns nowadays. 30 years ago, I had a little trouble trusting anything that came from Europe when it came to cowboy guns, but I'm going to tell you what, in the last 20 years, they have stepped up their game. And the price reflects it. There is no doubt. So, this is a copy. It is modern. It handles smokeless powder. And it's in 45 Colt. And she's a purty one. Yeah. She's a little safe queen. Now, it's a little different in that this particular unit is not the straight stock regular cowboy style. If you'll notice back here, instead of a straight stock with a high cheek piece, I actually have this drop, this curved comb here, and this is called the sporting version. It is quite a nice rifle to shoot, and it's a little bit more comfortable, and it is awesome. It's so pretty. And like most lever guns, it has those fine lines, especially that Winchester just so love to put out there on new weapons. That's a 24-inch hexagonal barrel with a full-length magazine tube underneath. And this puppy, you can load it today and shoot all week. without a hitch. Obviously, you'll notice the case color hardening. You'll notice that very unique, very recognizable Winchester receiver that was used from 71, 73, 76, 86. You'll see just about that timeline. These were the actions that still used the drop toggle action that had an actual breech block delivery system, that the ammunition exited the magazine tube into a falling block. When you crank the lever, this weapon is unloaded. When you crank the lever, there's also a nice little feature here, this dust cover. You would bring at the full stroke that block would rise to the top and put a round directly in front of the chamber. You bring the lever forward and it would ram the round into the chamber, and on closing the lever and it's complete, that block would fall back, unblocking and making ready for the next round. And this weapon does have, much to my chagrin, and you can see it right here, a little pin. The lever has to be held with your hand to fire this weapon. If it's not, you can't make the hammer fall. Now, original Winchester did not operate like that. But it's a safety issue, and it's modern, and be tough to get around it. So that's basically the premise of it. Obviously, your ammunition was loaded right here into this side gate. You can chuck 16 rounds into that bad boy. And like I said, you can load it on Sunday and shoot all week. Nice little feature, that dust cover. Keeps all the dust out, because that drop toggle action, unlike the action of the 94 or the 92, has no way without this to keep dirt and grime from dropping into your action. Get in there where you don't need it, so thus the dust cover was necessary. It's a fine little feature. Very well made. And it has full buckhorn sights. Oops. Gone too close there, Brad. I wanted to give you a good close-up of what that buckhorn sight really looks like. When you hear someone talk about a full buckhorn rear sight on a lever gun or an old style gun, that's what we're talking about here. They're tall on both sides. There's a big old gap, and then there's a little groove down in the bottom, and that's where you put the bead of that front sight at for a really fine sight picture. And let me tell you, woohoo, it works, baby. But that is old school precision right there. Did that make you dizzy? Alright, so that's basically the ins and outs of that. Pretty simple on those. A lot of folks love to play with these. I can't think of anybody that's a rifle and weapons aficionado that hasn't owned at least a half a dozen lever guns, if not more, from variants from 1860 Henrys all the way up to modern 94s and 30-30. Like I said, this one also in 45 long Colt or 45 Colt, and she just as slick as a button. And very, very precise. All right. That's just about it. What do you say we put these puppies in their little travel box and grab a box of ammo and some type of target media of some nature and go out the farm and see just exactly what kind of effectiveness we can make some determinations on. What do you say? You ready? I'm ready. Let's load and go. Welcome back, folks. How y'all doing today? A little quick trip out to the farm. We're going to get a little range time with the little Old West toys here. Now, as you might be able to tell from the full morning sun on my face, I can't hardly see a damn thing. But I couldn't point the camera at the sun or you wouldn't be able to see me. So, bear with the fact that I squint my eyes like Clint Eastwood most of the time when I'm looking at it. Anyway, we're going to fire some rounds out of the 3.5 incher there. Basically, we're going to do aimed fire with this. The last time I shot this on video was just point shooting at a TV, defensive style, and the accuracy was fine for that. But now we're going to see what the sights actually do. So we'll be doing that on the second run. Right now we're set up, as you can see, we got some Infidel pop bottles. I had this imported from over there on the other side of the world, and we're going, you know, somewhere out of the European theater, I think, but I might be mistaken. Anyway, we got 10 pop bottles. What we're going to do is this. We're going to test the efficacy of 3 different types of ammunition for this weapon, or for the caliber 45 Colt. The first 3 rounds are going to be just 200 grain, flat nose, cast lead, cowboy action loads running about 750 feet per second. The second set of 5, the second run of 5 is going to be 5 jacketed flat point factory loads for hot. And the last 2 are going to be some Winchester silver tip. Now, a lot of times back in the day, silver tips got a bad rep because firing them out of a pistol, you just couldn't achieve the right velocities to get that silver tip hollow point to actually expand properly. Well, we're going to shoot them out of this rifle and longer barrel, hopefully greater velocity and better expansion. That's what we're hoping for anyway. So without further ado, we're going to load this puppy up and we're going to see if we can't tear the living hell out of some pop bottles. What do you say we do that? Because it's going to get hot, folks. We got to get around and get this done. Be right back. Alrighty. What do you say we make a little noise and feed the ants? Because you know they're going to love that soda pop. There's all sorts of flavory stuff in there. Now, like I said, we've got 3 different types of ammunition that we're running here. And the first 3 rounds are going to be just soft lead, cowboy action, 750 feet per second, advertised muzzle velocity. The next 5 rounds are going to be Federal factory 250 grain flat point half jacketed full house heavy duty 45 Colt loads. The last 2 rounds that we'll save for the 2 pop bottles in front are going to be Winchester silver tips, and hopefully we'll be able to recover at least one of those, get a good look at it and see what happens with it. So without further ado, what do you say we go ahead and make some noise? Here we go. I can bypass you. All right, that's your cast cowboy action load. The next 5 are going to be the Federals. I can feel the difference. I think the jugs could too. Alright, now our last two Winchester silver tips. Let's see what they do. A pretty good launch there. They sounded like they had some authority. Let's check them out. Stand by. All right. This is all of the fragments that I could find of those two silver tips that I fired. I think that when you put them in a long barrel gun, you must get some devastating pressure, because that's all just gnarly chunks of jacket and one decent sized piece of lead. The rest of them, I dig hard clay, no tunnel, no bullet left. This is all that remains. And that fragmented in the coke. Oh my goodness. They didn't even make a dent in the side of the clay wall. Every bit of that energy was expended inside that 2-liter pop bottle. So it might not work all that great in a pistol platform, but let me tell you what, Matthew, you throw them in the old evergun, and by God, Molly, the mule's going to be taking off when you set them bad puppies off. All right. Let's see what that pistol likes to do and how accurate it is. Be right back. Okay. Got us a little target set up. Got a little 6-inch diamond there, 4 inches across center to center on the inside. We're just going to fire 6 rounds, 200 grain cowboy action loads from 15 yards. That's where these sights really, from the factory fixed sight Colt's like this, clones, they usually set to be dead on somewhere between, depending on the load, 15 and 25 yards. So we're going to just start back there about 20 yards, fire 6 shots, aim to fire using the sights, and let's see what happens. All right, here we go. All right. Well, I can tell you right now, it shoots a little bit low, because that last shot, when I fired it, I was aiming just close to the top of that diamond. All righty. What do you say we dump 6 more in there and take a little bit different sight picture? Always have a tendency to start out kind of low, I think. Anyway, let's see what she does this time. All right, so at 20 yards, even aiming higher, those cowboy action loads were still falling somewhat short. We're going to move up to 15 and see what kind of improvement we get on that. Alrighty. That's looking better. Alright, well, it seems that we have discovered that with cowboy action loads, this pistol is going to shoot low. We started out at 20 yards. This was a portion of the group. A couple of these were at 20. I thought, well, let's aim a little higher, so we aimed a little higher. Started running a pretty good group right there and a couple flyers out here, but that's just cowboy action shooting. Moved up, but it didn't really move to center. Loaded 6 more, moved in 5 yards, and started getting some good hits here, up here. So, yeah, gonna shoot this pistol at 15 or 25 yards. Probably gonna want something pretty hot. But hey, that ain't bad. That's an 8.5 inch wide by 11 inch long piece of notebook paper that target's printed on. Every one of those bullets is in an area no greater than 6.5 inches. And if that was a man's torso and this was his neck, you wouldn't be getting any comments from him. I can guarantee you that. Alright, well, let's get this stuff loaded in the truck and get out of the sun. Man, it is getting hot. Be right back. Okay, folks, got a little bonus footage for you here. In the interim between shooting the intro and getting out here to the range, which was a couple of weeks because of heat and weather, I started looking for a good shotgun to hunt dove with. I've had several over the years. They were all 870s. They all kicked pretty hard. For a young man, it wasn't a bad thing on a day-long shoot. But broken bones, dislocated bones, busted ribs, busted clavicle, broken shoulders on both sides. Heavy recoiling weapons are no fun after the 6th shot. Shot my dad's Remington 1100 left hand last year. He was looking to sell that weapon and I got it sold for him. That left me shotgunless. And dove season starts here in about 5 days. Well, I was looking around and I just so happened to come across a really fine circa 1972 Remington 1100 right hand, regular barrel. And it's in such sweet condition, it blew my mind for the age that it has. You look on the internals and it's just almost like brand new. So I'm going to take it out here today and pattern it real quick because it says it's got a modified barrel. And so we're going to see what kind of pattern it throws and whether it throws it straight or if it throws it to one side or up or down, because you got to know that about your shotgun. So we're going to set this puppy up. He's got that same 6-inch diamond there. And we're going to step back. We're going to fire at 25, 35, and 40 yards. And each time we do, we're going to put on a new target. We're going to see what kind of pattern we get. So stand by and let's see what happens. And that's an homage to one of my most favorite gun guys on the YouTube and all the net. This testing that we're going to be doing today, we're going to be using Federal Top Gun 1 ounce, 2 3/4 inch with a muzzle velocity advertised at 1,330 feet per second, number 7.5 shot. Go hang a new target. And the bead was just a little in the low part of the diamond, passing up into the white right before I pull the trigger. And I can see just upon approach that at 25 yards I have got a wonderful pattern. The density of the shot is on center with where I was aiming when the trigger broke, where the bead was at. Ooh, baby. But that looks to be a really nice pattern. And any dove in that diamond or anywhere close to it would be having a hard time of it right now, even in that paper. Let's see what happens at 30 yards. Let's forego 35 and just go 30. What do you say? "30 yards, offhand, 37 yards. See how she does. Well, I'd say that's going to be just about the effective limit of that barrel. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 22, 20, maybe 23. 23 hits on that 6x6 diamond, or 7x7 diamond. Half a dozen pellets in the white. 7, 8 maybe. If the bird were centered in there in the right position, I'd have 4 pellets. That's enough to bust up a wing. So yeah, that's about the maximum effectiveness of that. I was just a little left. The bead was coming into the middle as the trigger broke. So there's really nothing wrong with that, really. Yeah, bird been flying from right to left, I'd have got some all over him. All right. Well, now let's definitely load this stuff up because, oh my God, it's getting hot. Be right back. Oh, hi. I'll be back, baby. What's up, folks? Well, I hope y'all enjoyed watching the bottles get shot as much as I enjoyed shooting them. And I have to say, the little 1873 and 45 Colt sure seems to be doing a fine job on things. I enjoyed it immensely, but let me tell you something. It's hot out there now. Whew! I got into the house by 10 a.m. I wish I'd have been there at 9:30. Anyway, I'm glad you guys stopped by. We had a lot of fun with this, and the pistol as well. And also, with the shotgun, you know, my new 1100, that's going to be fun. Now, I wanted to show you something. You remember we talked about the different ammunition. Well, I had 10 pop bottles, and I brought in a sample from the 3 different types of ammunition we fired. The first, and we'll go in the same step that we fired them, using the Cowboy action load, soft lead, 750 feet per second, you essentially have what, you know, still appears to be a round 2-liter pop bottle, and it has an entry hole and it has an exit hole. They go through there. The second is the ammunition that was the Federal factory half-jacketed flat point. Now there's your entry hole. And a little bit bigger exit hole. You can cut the ripping a little bit. And the bottle's a little more, not quite as pristinely shaped as it was from the factory. And I haven't squished on these. I haven't done anything to them. Then we had the silver tips. And we were kind of wondering about those. Well, I think this speaks for itself. Do you see anything in my hands that looks like a round 2-liter pop bottle? They both have an entrance hole. And oh my God, the hydrostatic pressure that must have been going on when these bullets cratered out inside these pop bottles is unreal. these humongous gaps and gashes and rips were not caused by the bullet hitting them. They were caused by the structural integrity of the pop bottles literally coming undone on a basic universal molecular level. And they both have huge splits in places where the material was the weakest, on the opposite side of the hole. So silver tips, at least out of an 1873 carbine. Can you imagine if you had shot one of them into the cavity of a 200-pound deer, or if you hit a coyote with it? This is immense hydrostatic shock and pressure, and this going to do a hell of a fine job. Okay, enough of that. Alright, well, I'm glad you guys stopped by. I hope you enjoyed the video. Try to get another one lined up pretty quick. I think I'm working on one involving maybe some 380, maybe if I can find some ammo that doesn't cost $5,000 around. So, you guys have a great day. Come back and see me. Stay safe. Remember, we're in pandemic 2.0. Got a Delta variant going on, and who knows, but in 4 or 5 years we might have the X-ray variant. There's no telling. But stay safe. Do your best to be good. And by all means, stop back by whenever you get the chance. If I got something new, give it a look. Have a great day. Love you, folks. See you later. Bye.